Good morning, everybody. Come on, Leigh-Ann.
Wow. That's a lot for a Monday morning.
That is a lot for a Monday morning.
There we go.
Do the music, yes. How are you feeling, Leigh-Ann?
All good, all good. Wrapped up warmly.
Good. I guess we're warm today. Welcome to the Gareth Cliff Show. My name is Mashani Sifuti, and I am joined by the always beautiful Leigh-Ann Mole. How are you feeling, Leigh-Ann, this morning?
All good. I believe Gareth's taking a well-deserved break.
Yep.
Gareth
is
good.
Out of town. Do you know where he is? I have no clue where he is in the world.
He's been very sort of,
He's very elusive about his travels.
But you know what? It's a good thing because it means less people will bother him. And like I said a few weeks ago, it's a good thing to learn to just turn off your phone and take a proper take a break.
Absolutely. Well, since Gareth is away, I will be handling the show today along with you, Leigh-Ann. And I want people to actually give us some suggestions. Guess in the comments, where do you think Gareth is? Because I personally do not know. I don't know, Leigh-Ann. What do you? Maybe he's in New York. Maybe he's in Zimbabwe. Maybe he's in Mozambique, Madagascar, even Mauritius. You never know. And knowing Gareth, he might not even post anything. So I guess we just have to wait and see more than anything. But how was your weekend, Leigh-Ann?
Yeah, it was not very different to the rest, you know. Just catching up on a bit of work, a lot of catching up on Netflix.
Ooh, yeah, what are you watching?
And it's not just Netflix, you know. Of course, we've got like access to 3 or 4 platforms now.
Oh,
so it's a lot of work. So I find myself following on TikTok these kind of movie and show reviewers. And I've got my favorites. And within like 10 seconds, they'll sum up what you should be watching at the moment. I'm only now getting I've just started Black Mirror, which is in its 6th season.
Oh my goodness. I watched season 6. Ooh. Joynt
Did you watch the ones before that?
I've watched all of it, Leigh-Ann. I've been a Black Mirror fan since before Black Mirror was Black Mirror, since everybody started talking about it. And you know, that's what happens with most of these shows, that you discover it, you get into it, start telling people about it. Nobody wants to watch it. And then once it becomes popular, everybody's telling you, oh, did you watch Black Mirror? I'm like, I've been there. So I watched season 6 as well this past weekend, and it was so good.
No spoilers.
I was just put it in my mouth. Oh, I'm not going to spoil anything for you. Do not worry.
It's hard to give spoilers because every show is different, right?
Exactly. That's the nice thing about Black Mirror, is that even if I spoil it for you, in like 2-3 days, you would have forgotten, because every single episode is a whole different storyline. So it makes it easier to spoil it for you. But I won't do that today. I won't do that to you, Leigh-Ann. But yeah, overall, just watching some shows as well this past weekend, and I got to actually visit my aunt. I went to go visit my aunt in Springs, the town where nothing ever happens, where there's just dust balls and dust bunnies rolling down the streets and balls of hay. I got to visit my aunt that side, and it was fun. They had some construction work going on in the house, so it was very loud. I'm not gonna lie. And on Saturday, I actually felt like, let me just go to my place just for a few hours, because this house is loud. And I know it's kind of rude to visit someone, then like go to your house for the whole afternoon, then come back in the evenings. But I just felt like I needed a moment of just peace and relaxation. And to top things off, her house is freezing cold. So I just needed to get some silence and also get some warmth, because my new apartment, which is literally falling apart, is really warm, really, really warm. So that's one thing I am really, really excited about. And yeah, I want to find out what you have been up to as well. So drop what you've been up to in the comments. And also, I must also mention today that we have Dr. Hanan coming on a little later on, and we'll be doing another open Q&A session. So get your relationship questions ready and, you know, pop them through to us. And yeah, speaking of which, I'll also be sharing a bit about my relationship. Of course, people are always thinking, I always have to, Leigh-Ann. I always have to, you know.
Well, keep it coming. We love it. We live
I'm gonna,
vicariously through you.
yes. Remember when I first started coming on the show, I was like, and I'm gonna quote Dory. I'm so sorry, Dory, but I used to actually go like to Dory, like, Dory, what do you think I am? Huh? The Cliff Central whore? And she'd be like, well, you kind of are. And I'm like, ha.
No,
So
Shep, it's just
now,
because you're like a little
mhm.
more active and on the, on the radar.
Exactly. And I actually listened to one of the older shows with myself on, and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, that was me. That was me. I used to be this person, just date all the time and all of that. But now I actually love seeing my growth and seeing myself grow into this person who is now in a stable and committed relationship and is happy in that and thriving.
Okay.
So that's one thing
Because
I'm
that's
really
what I was
excited
going to
about.
ask. Are you still in that relationship that we were talking about a few weeks ago?
I still am in that relationship and it's going
Wow.
splendid. In fact, you know what's the
Awesome.
ultimate symbol of love at the moment? It's not flowers, Leigh-Ann. It's not roses. It's not wine. It's not champagne. Can you tell me what's the ultimate symbol of a relationship at this very moment?
Does it have something to do with a video that I sent earlier or not?
No, it does not.
Okay, then tell me yours, and then we'll look at mine, which was a video which I sent earlier.
All right. So my ultimate symbol of a relationship, living in South Africa, of course, is getting someone who will buy you an inverter. I think that is the ultimate symbol of love. That's how I know that Bona, this one, I'm going to marry this one. That's how you know, Leigh-Ann. Am I lying?
No, it's probably the most wanted gift in South Africa at the moment. But there
Uh-huh.
is that talk of us having to turn off generators when load shedding stops, and when the lights kick back in.
Oh,
So I don't know how that's going to affect me. If that person was there to do that for you, that would be great as well.
yeah, that'll be absolutely amazing as well. But I see in the comments that Richard Haupt says that a joint Netflix account is the ultimate symbol of
Yes.
a thriving relationship. And then yeah, some of the other comments here. Someone says you can add a super cheesy card that says "You're the light of my life." Well, that is sweet. I
For the
wish I got that
inverter.
card along. Yeah. That sounds like a good little gift. Simon says that the real question, Mash, is are you on the policy now? That's love. Simon says, where have you been? I've been on the policy since like the second week of the relationship. Catch up, catch up. So things are going well here at Love Lives Here, and I am really, really excited. I cannot even lie to you. But you know, this last night, Leigh-Ann, I slept very early. I'm not gonna lie, I slept at like 9 p.m. And I'm quite synonymous and famous here at Cliff Central for always being late. So for the first time, I actually arrived here at the studio before Ryan. And the main reason for that was that I slept very early, but also I had the most amazing night's sleep. I've never slept that
Oh,
well in my life. And it was so good that I actually kept waking up and going back to bed, but it was like smooth. It was smooth. Like I could actually just wake up and then just doze right off. I actually woke up at 2 a.m. thinking that I'm late. And at 2 a.m., I wake up, I look at the time, it's like, 2
oh,
a.m., beautiful. So then I go back to bed and I thought to myself, oh, what if I actually oversleep since now I've been up at 2 a.m.? And I did not. I actually woke up just before my first alarm at 4 a.m. Keep in mind, I have like 7
oh,
alarms set or like 3 minutes
yeah.
apart. But I woke up just before the very first alarm and I was so proud of myself. So proud of myself. I think that is the way to wake up.
Yeah,
100.
that's the best.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
it's always nice not being woken by your alarm when you beat the alarm to it, but just
Absolutely.
like by a few minutes.
So now here
That's
in the
awesome.
comments,
You've made
people
me
are
feel sleepy now, thanks.
it's a pleasure. People in the comments are guessing where Gareth could be in the world. I see Simon says that G is in Eastern Cape. I doubt that, as especially considering how Gareth feels about the Eastern Cape. I'm not too sure about that. I'm a little bit skeptical. And then Carol Jean Foree says that Gareth is in Poland. Brandon says Gareth's in Greece. And our bot says that Gareth is in Zimbabwe. I doubt it's Zimbabwe because Gareth just came from Zimbabwe. But let's keep those guesses coming in. Where is Gareth? You can use the hashtag on Twitter as well. Let's find out where Gareth Cliff is in the world because we don't know. So you guys have to guess, and hopefully Gareth will corroborate and will tell us exactly where he is at some point during the week. But Leigh-Ann, I have been on social media quite a bit this past weekend. And one thing I noticed quite a lot on social media, especially on Twitter. Twitter has changed quite a bit. I remember every time I'd open Twitter, I'd always get, for example, the latest trending tweet here in South Africa. You know, everything was always South African context. But nowadays, when I open Twitter, it just gives me such random stuff. It's always funny tweets from America and whatever's blowing up. And I don't know what exactly is going on there. Maybe I haven't been on Twitter for quite a while, but I don't know. Have you been on Twitter lately?
Only for work, not for my personal account. But if you haven't been on for a while, I mean, that's telling me that you're not feeding the algorithm, so it doesn't know what you want anymore. You haven't been liking, tweets and engaging with tweets that you know are more suited to what you want to see. So maybe your algorithms just reset itself, which is a good thing in some ways. I had to reset my algorithm on TikTok because my mum asked me to look up some crocheting videos and crochet trends, and crochet TikTok is huge at the moment. So after doing that, every second video that's on my For You page now is crocheting. I'm like, please stop.
Wow.
But there is a way that you can reset it. So yeah, fresh starts.
I am shocked. I am absolutely shocked. But you know what's more shocking? Is the story that you're going to be telling us about the I don't even know how to say this. Ecuadorian woman. Oh, Ecuadorian woman who knocked on a coffin during her own wake. Who has died? Can you tell me more about this? What happened there? Tell us more about this woman.
Sorry. Got the death rattle here myself. So yeah, it was a huge thing on social media because this 76-year-old woman in Ecuador was declared dead, and during her wake, with all the family around, they heard this knocking coming from her coffin, which was extremely upsetting. So she was declared dead after being resuscitated, an unsuccessful resuscitation, after she'd been admitted to hospital with a possible stroke and cardiac arrest. So anyway, off they put her in her coffin. She spent 5 hours inside her coffin and decided to wake up and started knocking. It was at a funeral home.
So this was at her very own funeral, basically, her wake. So it wasn't an open casket?
No.
Well, clearly it wasn't.
So they had to open it because she was gasping for air.
Oh my goodness. Now, this is very shocking considering the fact that we're in 2023, and I thought stories like this were from like the what do you call this? The old days when
old age,
the like Game of Thrones days when they had to connect strings with bells to your toe in your coffin and all of that. I didn't think that stuff like this could still happen today. I am
still
thoroughly shocked. And now,
in fact, just recently in the US, in Iowa, it was in December. The care facility mistakenly pronounced a 66-year-old resident dead. She woke up as well in the funeral home. And in 2020, there was a young woman who was declared dead who was about to be embalmed. And as they started, she opened her eyes. So it's something that happens. Yeah. Sorry to the people who have to do that type of stuff, and people who work in funeral homes. They must get an absolute shock of their lives. But after this woman gained such fame, and not that she would have cared, she was transferred straight to intensive care after she'd woken up in her coffin, obviously. And she lasted another 7 days there, and she's now passed away. She passed away on Saturday.
Do you know what the cause of her death might have been? Could it have been what they thought the initial cause was? Or was it
Probably
from being trapped in a coffin for 5 hours? Either or.
Probably a combination, all of the above.
Oh, geez, that is absolutely terrifying. Imagine at your own wake, you wake up in a coffin. My thing is, I thought we're in 2023 and that there's certain measures that can be, I thought actually seeing if someone is dead, we have stethoscopes, we have so many tools nowadays. And where did she die? Where there was no autopsy. I have so many questions, but you know what? I'll leave them for another day because I am just too traumatized. This is my worst nightmare. Worst nightmare
of waking up. I don't know if it would be worse for the people who've now mourned this person, seeing them wake up. I mean, that would freak me out completely. And then having them die again 7 days later. I mean, talk about an emotional roller coaster. Jeez.
Oh my goodness, that is absolutely terrifying. I would just scream, Leigh-Ann. There's no other explanation for this. I would just scream. But another shocking thing at the moment is something that's happening in South Africa. I've actually been exposed to this quite a lot. I think we've all been exposed to this quite a bit. And we have an epidemic here in South Africa. We have a reality show epidemic. And by that, I mean, we're just getting too many reality shows. It's like everybody and their mother and Tom, Dick, Jabulani, who wants a reality show, is getting a reality show. And it's become slightly overwhelming. So I don't watch much TV. And for the first time this weekend, I actually opened your Showmaxes and all of that just to see Skipani, what's going on the, the TV streets. And there were so many reality shows. I just felt like everyone has one. Everyone. I don't know. Is it a South African thing? Are we just overdoing? I think we're overdoing it though, compared to the Americans.
I want to say, we have to face facts that we always are slightly behind the trends. But in this case, I don't think that applies because from Big Brother days, I mean, when did that start in the US? 20 years ago. So we've had enough years to catch up. But it's also a way of becoming famous, really, is by being on a reality TV show. So there are a lot of people who want it for the clout.
I think,
But I suppose if they've got the ratings, surely they wouldn't be making more if they didn't have the ratings.
I think that's a good point. You never know. You never know with these shows. But I see, speaking of reality shows and also coming back to the lady who actually woke up at her own wake. I see in the comments, Arbot says, this gives a new definition to the word wake.
Yeah, that's for sure. What a shocker.
And then Matthew Dixon's here says that, do you know what is even more shocking? Getting electrocuted. And, okay. Obviously, that's just very odd. But Hardy Dave says that comorbidities, sorry ma'am, you've already started decomposing. Oh geez. And then Mapelo says here, I wonder how many people die in their coffins. I'd also like to find out a stat for that because it seems like it might be happening still a bit more than we know, because I've seen documentaries on YouTube of people actually like opening coffins and then there's scratches on the inside.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, that would be the only way to prove it. We'll never, most times when you put a person in the ground, that's it, Sure, I just thought of something, as I'll be being cremated. I wonder how many people wake up when they're put into the incinerator. Oh, Lordy.
No.
New thing tomorrow. New fear unlocked right now.
New fear unlocked. That is absolutely just, I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about it, Leigh-Ann. That is so terrifying. I can't. I
Well,
cannot.
you won't have goosebumps in the incinerator, that's for sure. The heat will sort that out.
What skin?
It's going to make those goosebumps extra crispy.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely terrifying. And one thing I actually started doing myself, I started this past 2 weeks. I'm now counting about 2 weeks doing this. I've started living a carb-free life, Leigh-Ann. I've well almost completely cut out carbs from my diet. So nowadays, and I don't know what's yeah.
Is this the first time you're doing it? Because the reason I ask is not to say like we've all been there and done that. The reason I ask is because the many times that I have done that, the positive effects that it's supposed to have seem to lessen every time I restart that. But I remember the first time I did it, and that's why I ask if it's the first time. And it really, you could feel the adjustment in your body. And you could see results quite quickly. It was sort of very satisfying.
It's actually the second time I'm doing it. I did it before 2 years ago, but then it wasn't by choice. I mean, I just couldn't afford bread or rice, so literally. So I was like, oh, geez, I'll just have meat only, and so on and so forth. So now I'm doing it because it is an active decision. I've actually decided to do it. And because I've done it before, well, not voluntarily so, but because I've done it before, doing it this time is actually much easier because it's something that I've done before. It's something that, and because I didn't do it by choice, there was no active thinking around it, so I could just completely stop. So I've gone cold turkey on all those things and it's going well. I think the positives outweigh the negatives for me. I'm feeling absolutely amazing. And yeah, I'm pushing for that flat stomach summer. This summer we have to have flat stomachs. We have to be at the beach. It's something that we
Sorry. I guess I'm not pitching up to this summer. Summer's cancelled for me. I went for an X-ray for my ailing hips. Yes, this starts to happen in your 40s.
Okay.
And the X-rays are so good these days. So, I mean, firstly, I was wearing tights and underwear, and they said, "Do you have any buttons or zips?" So I said, "No." So you can keep those on, which is awesome. You don't have to lie there on a cold table, starkers.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Had to remove the over-the-shoulder boulder holder because of the underwiring.
Okay. So you obviously had to remove your piercings down there and everything, yeah?
Yeah, sure. So lying on the table, get the X-rays done in a million different positions, and then receive them via email, or you get them on disc, whatever. And the quality is so good now that you can see not only the bones, but you can see your skin, your folds, your nether regions very, very clearly surrounding the bones. No. It's basically like a naked shot. I mean, camel toe and all. You can see definition like you won't believe. I was actually going to share a photograph with you guys. And
where is it?
I looked at it again. And no, you haven't got it. Don't worry. And I thought I actually can't because it's nudity. That's how clear these X-rays are.
Is it that vivid?
Yeah. I mean, I showed my mom. I didn't give any explanation. I just showed her. And you focus on the pelvis and, you naturally are drawn to looking at the X-ray. And then she just burst out laughing when she saw what was surrounding everything.
Oh,
and then because she enjoyed it so much, I sent it to her because I know she likes to look at these things later and laugh and reminisce, and it's what happens when you're a boomer. But she actually asked me to take it off her phone because she was scared someone who would be scrolling through her phone would think it was her.
No, Leigh-Ann. First of all, I'm just shocked you sent this to your mother.
Well, she was asking. She was like, I want to know what happened. So I was explaining the results to her and the X-ray report, so she doesn't have to lose sleep. She can see that everything's intact.
Yeah, you can be
And
like,
then I
yeah,
was
here's my
showing her.
genitalia, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah, by the way.
Just so you don't,
There's an extra
just so you don't
surprise.
worry too much. Yeah. That is, oh, Leigh-Ann,
Man.
I'll just about scream. But just a quick reminder that, first of all, Gareth is out of town and will be running things for the week. It is the Gareth Cliff Show takeover with myself, Mashani Sifuti today, and Leigh-Ann Mole. And also coming up a bit later, we have Dr. Hanan, and we'll be doing another open Q&A session. So please get your relationship questions ready. I'm the second best person in this building to give relationship advice. And then Dr. Hanan is the first. So bring those questions in. But Leigh-Ann, I also want us to actually get to some of the headlines this week.
Yeah.
I see there's actually quite a bit that's been happening in the news. Let's start off with a Miss SA Top 12 finalist has become under fire after her alleged past resurfaced on Twitter. Laverne Jose, who's 23 from the Northern Cape, has been accused of being a bully and a mean girl on social media by someone claiming to be a former schoolmate. Annalisia Jew took to social media to share her surprise and disappointment upon hearing that Jose had made it to the top 12 finalist lineup. She tweeted, "I was shocked to learn that you made it to the top 12 in the Miss South Africa competition. One of the girls you used to bully at school spoke out on what you and your gang of mean girls did to her on WhatsApp statuses. You are truly a horrible person. I'm not going to lie." Following this, more people spoke up about the alleged bullying, with former schoolmates also sharing their experiences of the finalist. Following the accusations, Twitter users had a lot to say. Some users defended Jose, saying it was in her past and that people can change. Others, though, were not so happy with the accusations. Leigh-Ann, another case of things I did in my past affecting me in my present.
Yeah,
What
but
do you think?
also,
Yeah.
guys, this is a beauty competition. You know,
Yeah.
I know that it's supposed to be more than that, but in the end, if these women didn't look the way they did, they wouldn't
Yeah.
be in the competition. So it's obviously about looks, number one, because we
Yes.
haven't seen much more diversity than what we expect from a Miss South Africa pageant or any beauty pageant.
Yeah.
So if let's be honest with ourselves and say, number one, it's about what you look like, then why are you getting so torn up? And also,
let's be real.
it's just indicative of the cancel culture. People are looking the whole time. I don't know what time people have on their hands, looking for ways to cancel people. And yes, people can change. If I think about the way I was at school, I'm quite different now. There were things that I did as a teenager that were completely different to now. If you want to go down that forgiveness route. There was a Miss South Africa a few years back as well who got called out for, I think it was racist type tweets. I'm not sure.
Yes, I remember that one.
Yeah, that was quite recent as well. So if anything, it makes individuals think, hell, I better go back and check on things I said. There are things that we said 10 years ago that we would never say right now, right?
We all have those things. We all have things that we've said. Yeah, we've all come a long way. And my biggest thing is she's entering the pageant now as the person she is now. She's not entering it as that 14-year-old girl in high school, as that 18-year-old girl in high school. So why do the things that she did then affect her now? Why should they actually affect her chances of winning the competition now? And as much as I wasn't a bully myself, but I can attest to the fact that perhaps there were people who might have at some point or another felt like you bullied them, you know? And we all have had those moments growing up where we maybe laughed when someone fell. And that person might have carried that all the way into their 30s, saying that Leigh-Ann was such a bully simply because you laughed one time after this one person fell. Does that make you a bully now? No.
Yeah,
It just
especially when
makes
you're
you
a
a horrible
teenager.
person. Yeah. It just makes you a
You
horrible
don't know
person who
how
loves people.
to, yeah,
Yeah.
you don't know how to regulate your emotions properly then. I actually, when you said that, remembered being at a party in high school where someone did fall down the stairs right in front of me, and I did laugh. It's awkward. It's you don't, and at that stage, you don't really worry if the person's been hurt or not. It's not at the top of your mind. All you're thinking about is how embarrassing, how awkward, how funny.
Exactly.
So, people remember why you wanted a Miss South Africa competition. See, by the way, it's been a long time coming, but one of my biggest criticisms of the Miss South Africa pageant, not that I was passionate about it ever, but was that you were not allowed to be married
Oh yes.
to be on the pageant,
Yes. I
or
remember
like have
that.
a steady boyfriend. So apparently that's changed now. There's someone who I think is a mom and two people who are married. Likewise, there's the Mrs. South Africa pageant, and I once asked if you could
Yes.
enter if you'd been divorced, and the answer was no.
They're like,
So
no,
it's
you
good to
whore.
see that. Yeah. No, you used woman, you. Someone cast you asunder, and now you want to enter our purity competition.
We don't want the leftovers here. Oh no. But
Yeah.
and another thing about these pageants is that they start being more accepting once they start realizing that they're losing viewership, number one. People aren't as interested in it as they were before. So now all of a sudden they start being inclusive just to, squeeze the last bit of ratings and the last bit of interest into the competition. It's quite unfortunate, really.
Yeah.
Very, very
And that's
unfortunate.
the thing, the ratings have dropped. So
very much.
I suppose they are making moves. At the end of the day, this is a business, remember? People are making money off of it.
Exactly.
So they'll treat it that way, and they'll be forced to make changes in accordance with what the public wants.
Hey, well, in other news, when Spotify signed the Duke and Duchess of Sussex with an exclusive deal reportedly worth about $20 million in 2020, the royal couple were taking their first steps into the commercial world, and podcasts were positively booming. How times have changed. These days, Prince Harry and Meghan's brand has waned in the eyes of some, and Spotify is reducing its reliance on the big celebrity signings and expensive original content that have weighed on its bottom line. Meghan's podcast became one of the most high-profile casualties this week when Spotify and the Duke and Duchess of Archwell Audio announced they would be parting ways in a mutual decision. It came after Spotify's deal with Barack and Michelle Obama's production company ended last year. Spotify has let go hundreds of staff since that time, hitting the expansive podcasting division. A hot pot of podcasting companies it spent more than $400 million acquiring just a few years ago. So basically, Spotify has said, look, this thing of just giving every Tom, Dick, and Harry and Jabulani, who seems to be on the up
Harry,
and up and popular, on the bump, who just seems to be up and popping at the moment, is not really working. People aren't really interested in this content. And I don't know about you, Leigh-Ann, I never listened to that podcast. As much as everybody was talking about it, I never gave a single crap about that podcast.
Yeah, I can't say I ever expressed interest in watching it or listening to it. I suppose if there were neat little clips put on one of our platforms that we use, then I might watch. And I saw the story yesterday, and as much as I'm not interested in watching the podcast, I wasn't interested in reading into why. I saw the big headlines, this enormous deal which had been cut, and yeah, and it makes me realize more and more that people really want genuine content from normal people. I mean, COVID brought that about for us, the kind of the big step down of these celebrities who we held up so high before. We saw all of them doing their late night shows or day shows in studios. Suddenly they were doing them from their homes, and it brought them down a few notches in the way we perceived them. As these untouchable people. And we loved how that happened. It also brought about the opportunity for just about anyone to be on the same level as them by producing their own shows or putting forth their own content, and it was sometimes a lot better.
Mm.
And yes, watching this guy I follow who's quite high up in the marketing world of brands in the US, saying, companies are now especially jumping onto TikTok with their sponsored content. And people aren't even watching the first 2 seconds of these unless it comes across as being produced by someone like you or I.
Absolutely. And that is absolutely right. People are craving more real content, more relatable content, and content that doesn't feel manufactured more than anything. I think that's why I actually wanted to start off the show and discuss the whole reality show epidemic, because most of these reality shows that we're getting are so manufactured as well. And that's why they're actually so annoying more than anything. I remember the good old days when reality shows were real. We actually got to see in people's houses and got to see their real lives. And, give us these things used to give us a sneak peek into people's lives. And nowadays, especially with this Harry and Meghan thing in particular, they are trying to dress up their life and create this sort of narrative to make themselves look like the good guys, I suppose a result of that would have to be them just their lives seem manufactured. Nothing about them seems real. We can't seem to relate to anything they have to say anymore. Even when they try to sound relatable, it just doesn't land. And that's one big thing that's happened over, I think, over COVID, or rather, that's a big adjustment that COVID has made overall in terms of entertainment and reality more than anything. So I mean, in terms of Harry and Meghan, we don't care about them, so let's move along.
Point established.
Okay, in other news, SA's only driving license card printing machine has been fixed. Let's bring on the ululations. Let's celebrate. The National Transport Department on Sunday confirmed the country's sole driving license card printing machine has been fixed. The machine needed urgent maintenance after it was found to be faulty. The department said it would now double card production from 60,000 to 120,000 per week following the repairs. It has confirmed to clearing its backlog of 350,000 driving license cards by August this year. The department also gave an assurance that it remained committed to improving current processes and that it planned on acquiring a new machine. Question one, why do we have one machine to begin with?
Yeah. So I saw the story this morning while boiling the kettle. Oh, my life's so interesting. And
popping.
My question is, how's their maths? Because there's a backlog of 350,000, if I'm right. So
yes.
In other words, there are 350,000 people right now who are waiting for their cards and don't have them. They say they print usually 60,000 per week, but they're going to double that to 120,000 per week. Now, surely in my mind, that means that in 3 to 4 weeks, the deadline should be resolved mathematically
the
speaking.
backlog.
I mean, the backlog. But obviously take into account that more people who weren't in the backlog, new people, are going to be needing cards, so give them some leeway.
Yeah.
But they're saying by August. I suppose, I mean, that does make sense now that I think about it. I keep forgetting that we're closer to August than we are.
Yeah.
So that would be from June to July to clear the backlog, and then another, say, 2 weeks to deal with new cards. Okay.
Yes. I'm like, hey, that's just central maths, hey? We're not mathematicians here, Leigh-Ann. It's fine. We're not mathematicians here. 1 + 1 = 11. Oh my gosh. But I don't need to renew my license disc, so it's not something I really care about at the moment, but I will pretty soon, actually. I think in about 2 years. So it's good to hear that we're actually working on acquiring a second machine, and hopefully we actually get that second machine and the money doesn't get blown. Let's hope and pray.
Yeah.
That's all we can say. Hope and pray.
I mean,
more than anything.
Like you said, why do we only have one? I presume it's because it's like super expensive or something. but
It doesn't
we
make
waste a
sense.
lot of
Yeah.
money on other things. So,
Hi.
yeah.
Mm-mm. And then in other news, Elon Musk, Ryan's favorite person, Twitter sued by music publishers for 250 million. A group of 17 music publishers in the US have sued Twitter, claiming the platform enabled copyright violations involving nearly 1,700 songs. The National Music Publishers Association is seeking more than $250 million in damages. In a lawsuit filed at the Federal District Court in Nashville, the NMPA claimed Twitter permits and encourages infringement for profit. It says the situation has not improved since Elon Musk bought the company. The NMPA, which represents firms including Sony Music Publishing, BMG, Rights Management, and Universal Music Publishing Group, alleged that Twitter continues to re-up huge profits from the availability of unlicensed music without paying the necessary licensing fees for it. This is a bit of a tough one because the thing is, sometimes we want to post our reels and stuff and just, have nice music playing. And yeah, and if it's infringing on these people, these NMPA, it becomes a bit tricky. It does become very much tricky. And I know for a fact that I myself am a culprit in some of this because sometimes I repurpose my TikToks for Twitter. I post my TikTok, it has my favorite song playing, and then it doesn't get flagged for violating Twitter's terms of use or any copyright flags. So I am a culprit, yeah. And I'm not doing it on purpose. It's not like we're malicious and like, let's put some copyright music on Twitter.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything like that. We're just normal people reposting and repurposing some of our other content from other platforms. So I think what Twitter can do here, is just perhaps tighten up their rules on the licensing and do a copyright violation check. You know how on TikTok now you can actually do a copyright check before posting something? They should just add that.
Yeah.
They should just add that. Look at me making
also,
yeah.
I think these music companies have probably wanted to strike Twitter for this for a long time, but they've waited until they're already wounded and a bit down in order to do this. It's like, putting salt in a wound. But
basically.
And it also means, of course, it is going to make it harder for brands and content producers because they're going to, again, we're faced with all these different rules per platform. And so you have to change everything again. Also, the platforms are trying their hardest as usual to make sure that we post from their app, directly from their app without pulling across content. They're just keeping us busy. That's what they're doing.
It's very tricky. And the thing is, it's not like Twitter gives us an option to add music, unlike Instagram and TikTok and all of that. So it becomes even trickier as a result of that. So there's no winning. There's no winning here at all. At all. But in terms of speaking of winning, let's bring Dr. Hanan on and actually discuss some of the relationship woes that that has been facing us, or any relationship problems that have been, on our doorstep. Good morning, Dr. Hanan.
Good morning to you guys. How are you?
Hey.
We are good. We are good. We are thriving in Love Lives Here and Mjolo territory. So that is what matters here. And one thing that we actually wanted to do this morning is another Q&A with some of the audience and find out what relationship woes they've been experiencing over the past, I'd say, couple of months. So far, I actually want to start off with myself more than anything. So, Dr.
Of course
Hanan,
you do, Mash.
It's not really a problem, Leigh-Ann, more than anything. I wouldn't call it a problem, but it's something that has been actually nagging at me quite a bit. And people have been asking me this question quite a lot. So as you know by now, I recently moved house. I got a new place. It's a stunning place. It's beautiful, panoramic views and all of that. But people are now saying to me, you keep talking about your partner, but you didn't move in with your partner. And I keep having to explain myself. I find myself having to explain myself quite often as a result and be like, no, it's not that time. They're like, then you don't love your partner. Someone actually said that to me, that the fact that you're not moving in with this person after bragging about them and talking about them so much means that you do not love them. And I just don't know how to justify it. I don't know how to justify my thinking and my thought process for this. So I don't know. Is it maybe me the problem? Could it be that I am scared, or I'm not too sure about this, Dr. Hanan. What do you think?
How long have you been dating for?
We have now been dating for approximately, I'd say, 5 months. Yeah, 5 months now.
And what's the reason why you haven't moved in together?
My reasoning is just that I love my person so much, but I kind of still at times, I would say I've been living alone for so long that there's certain things that I'm used to. You know, I'm used to just having my own little space, my own little corner key. I'm used to being able to do things at times at my own time, you know, eating whenever I feel like eating, and not eating because, oh, you know, I have to prepare dinner, and also cooking when I feel like cooking. And for me, it's always felt like living with my partner would basically, you know, eliminate some of that for me, and it would put me into a more of a, I don't want to say routine, but I'd have to cook every day. You know, by 6 p.m. there has to be dinner if I get home first, and such things. I don't like cooking every single day to start off with. You know, there are days when I can just have coffee and a rusk and go to bed. So for me, that has been the most terrifying element. Just having to, you know, cater for someone all day, all night. I suppose that's how I would justify it to myself.
And when do you foresee that you will be moving in together? Is that ever going to happen?
I do see that happening. I think in about a year's time, as soon as my currencies.
Why, yeah?
For me,
why, yeah? Why not 9 months? Why not 6 months? Why not a year and a half?
Main reason for me is that I still want to just enjoy that little corner that I have of being able to just not eat, you know, like not eat, but not cook every now and then. And I do love my partner. I do actually want to commit to this fully. I do want to go all in, but that one little element is one thing that I just wanted to experience one last time before actually jumping all in.
So my advice always to couples is there's a concept in psychology that we call need bidding. Need bidding in a romantic relationship or in a romantic sense is really all about relationships work out when needs are being fulfilled back and forth. And we communicate our needs to each other in directly or directly. So I can tell my partner what I want, or I can insinuate what I want indirectly. And a lot of the issues that come up in relationships come up because needs are not being fulfilled. So, for example, I'll see a couple and the wife will complain, well, my husband never helps me with the cleaning up. But actually, maybe the issue is a lack of trust. That is really the foundation that is piled on to eventually coming out as, well, he doesn't help me with the cleaning up of the house or the packing up things or the dishes or whatever that is. But it's not really about the dishes. It's about specific fundamental needs not being met. And we communicate our needs back and forth. So I need, as an analogy, I need water. My partner has water. I'm going to connect to her. My partner needs food. I got food. She's going to connect to me. And our job in a relationship is to compromise and try hear what the partner needs, because the moment we don't give our partners what they need, they resent us. And the moment we give them what they don't need, they resent us too. So it really is about being very clear in terms of what I need and being very clear in terms of what I can give to my partner. Now, how it relates to moving in is that you might say, well, I need my personal space. And your partners might say, well, I need that closeness and intimacy and that companionship that I can't get on my own. And your job in a relationship is to compromise and negotiate, because it's not just about you and it's not just about your partner. It's meeting somewhere where you feel that you're both both of your needs are being met. So you say a year, but how do you know it might not be 6 months or 2 months or a year and a half or 2 years? And my advice to you is don't be so hard about it's only going to happen in a year, and try to stay open-minded. Whilst it's not something that you can give now, but you might be able to give in a month because you see the value of the relationship, or you might not be able to give into this in a month. It might be a year and a half, it might be 2 years, it might be never. And people ask me, what if we can't get to the point where we can compromise and fulfill each other's needs? Well, that's when the relationship begins to break. So be very clear in terms of what you need, be willing to compromise, be very clear in terms of what you can give to your partner, and try and find a place where both of your needs are being fulfilled.
Okay. And I think communication more than anything is key. And actually opening that line of communication and discussing this with my partner as well would be something that is beneficial in this situation, in this certain scenario.
Well, communication is important in every scenario, because how do you communicate what you need unless you actually talk about it? And the number one mistake that people make is they talk in generalities. So they think, how many couples I see, you won't believe, they'll say, I'm a great communicator because I talk a lot. I like to open up. And I want to tell you, that doesn't make a good communicator. Talking a lot does not make you a good communicator. Talking and speaking and communicating in the right way makes you a good communicator. As a matter of fact, the best communicators are the ones that just say what they need to say, don't fluff it up with more information, and get the message across quite clearly. The ones that just talk a lot and talk in ways around the issue, talk in circles, don't really get to the bottom of what the issue is, are not necessarily good communicators. And my advice to anybody when you're communicating is don't talk in generalities, be specific. So if, for example, I turn to you and I say, I need more attention. So I have a relationship with you and I need more attention. Now, you might think that you know what that means, and I might think that I communicated it quite clearly, but attention is airy-fairy nonsense. It's nothing. It doesn't mean anything. You are going to leave the conversation and you are going to naturally disappoint me, and I'm naturally going to get hurt, because attention to you is very different to attention for me. So in a relationship, if my wife turns to me and says, Hanan, I need more love, my answer right back to her would be, no problem, but what does it mean? Boil it down to specifics that I can actually do, because love to her is very different to love to me. I need more attention. I need more affection. I need more intimacy. I need more care. I need more empathy. Those are airy-fairy nothings. And naturally, she's going to end up leaving me completely frustrated because I can't fulfill that. And she's going to be disappointed. So the aim is really to talk specifics. So love, what does it mean? Attention, what does it mean? I need more intimacy. I need more companionship. Boil it down to specifics, but couples don't want to talk about it. And the reason why couples don't want to talk about specifics is because they don't actually know what they want. They don't actually know what they want. So when a woman will turn to a guy or the other way around and say, I need love. And the guy will go, okay, cool, no problem. And it means nothing. But when the guy turns to her and says to her, what do you mean? 9 out of 10 times, maybe even 99 out of 100 times, she doesn't know. She just wants to feel different, but she doesn't know exactly what she wants. And that's why couples just kind of leave it as airy-fairy clouds that they can't really catch on to or hold on to, rather than try to dig into what I actually need out of this relationship or out of this partner. So my advice to you is figure yourself out, figure what you want out of the relationship, because otherwise you're going to end up being very disappointed.
Wow.
I think
profound
for me, there's also to take out of this, and I was picking it up from your initial concern. A lot of this is, what do I tell people when they say to me, why haven't you moved in together?
Yes.
And it just reminds me so much of at the start of, big relationships when I was younger. It would be, when are you going to move in together? When are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? When are you going to, start a thriving enterprise together with, and it's just that next step. And a lot of it's just public pressure. And we have to remember where we are at the moment and how we've all evolved. And I know couples who live separately. They have their own homes that they're proud of.
Yeah.
They go home to their own space, especially when you're in more of an executive lifestyle. You come home to eat dinner and shower, and then you're back at work. And then your weekends you spend together. That's also pretty normal these days, So a lot of it's about what the public expects.
For sure, Leigh-Ann. I mean, you take 100 relationships and they all look very different. It's the negotiation between the relationship and what you need that's more important to fulfill than kind of the mold that society says this is what the ideal relationship looks like, and that's what you must adhere to. That never works because there's no mold. Nobody has 2.3 children. So we aim not for what the average or what the ideal, we aim for what we need specifically and uniquely in this relationship.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely profound advice. Thank you so much, Dr. Hanan. I am with all your advice, I'm actually going to go and re-listen to it on the podcast as usual. I'm going to be utilizing every single bit of advice, and as well as improving my communication, be more specific. And this doesn't just go for our private lives or our love lives. This also goes for every single other aspect of our lives, our parents, our colleagues, being specific on what is it that you need or what is it that you're looking for at that current moment. So, I think that's great. Awesome stuff. Ciao.
Nice to see you guys. Bye.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. I need to wet my lips and get my coffee. And then, we'll see you again just now, Leigh-Ann.
Up next in the AutoTrader podcast.
And you recently ran a poll on the websites to see if people would be open to ultimately loaning their cars.
The one I stuffed up on Friday. Your car probably stands 80 to 90% of its life.
Yeah.
It stands in a garage, it stands in a parking bay, it stands at the office.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's just sitting doing nothing. And he envisages a world with self-driving and robo-taxis where you could just send your car out to go and take somebody for a ride.
And overwhelmingly are people more willing to loan out their cars? This is South African based, right? So I think Elon Musk is speaking global in the US. Are we seeing that in South Africa that people are more open to the idea of loaning their car?
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
It's the decade that just won't go away, mainly because we won't let it. It's That 80s Show, the show that taste forgot. Every Friday, Paolo and Dory remember the 80s. Movies, music, fashion, Wham, Beachies, and the Hoff. If it was acceptable in the 80s, it will get you cancelled today. That 80s Show, new episode every Friday, live or as a podcast on cliffcentral.com.
And we're back. You're joined by myself, Mashani Sifuti, on the Gareth Cliff Show, as well as Leigh-Ann Mole. And if you're wondering, where is Gareth? Hashtag, where is Gareth? We don't know. So it's up to you guys to guess. Just comment below, where is Gareth? And tell us, where do you think he is? And Leigh-Ann, I see, first of all, actually, I'm going to get back to your jizzy jewelry. But first of all, at 7:30, we have an exciting little chat coming up with Ingrid, Hauger, and Shaun Joynt from Parkrun. I've actually participated in some Parkrun events before, and it's so much fun, you guys. It's so much fun. I can't wait to actually chat with them a bit later on. But Leigh-Ann, I've been trying to avoid this for quite some time, but I guess, sometimes we must face our fears. And I see a fancy wearing some jizzy jewelry. It's a thing now, and you can order yours today. Apparently, I have a video about that. What is that?
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier what the most romantic gift is, or what would signify the greatest love between two partners, and that being an inverter, because hashtag South Africa.
Yes.
But I came across this video. I didn't come across it. Oh gosh, how do I do this? I saw this video the other day, and nothing really shocks me anymore. But I found myself with my jaw on the floor a bit. So yeah, when you're ready to play the video, it's
more romantic
it's
than
not
wearing
visually
your partner's
sharp.
initial around your neck than wearing the initial that has their love incorporated into it. Taking your partner's powdered semen sample, mixing it into the clay, and then turning it into a masterpiece. They always turn out gorgeous, if I do say so myself.
Did you?
Leigh-Ann?
Did you? Yes.
As soon as I saw the word jizzy, I knew this is something I want to avoid. But now that I see the actual jewelry, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of cute. It's kind of cute.
Yeah, the jewelry is cute. So to anyone who couldn't see that, they're cute little, they look like ivory, they're probably ceramic, not ceramic, but clay, initials of your partner, some sort of beaded looking vibes, very pretty. But you do see her putting a powder into the polymer clay, which looks suspiciously like it could be drugs, but it's not. And as she mentioned, it's powdered semen. It's your partner's powdered semen.
My first question, is this like something that you do to, I don't know, like bring up at parties? Be like, oh, by the way, this is my semen bracelet, everyone.
That's
look
the
at my
thing.
semen necklace.
I mean, I just imagine, because, I often would see a girl and go, oh my God, I love your necklace or whatever. I might even touch it and hold it in my hand and say, this is beautiful. Imagine her telling you what's in it. Okay. Do I really want to know?
Oh my gosh.
As an outsider, as a friend? What do you say at work when someone says, oh, I love your necklace?
Oh, it's Jerry's cum. That's what my necklace is. Thank you. Thanks. Oh no, Leigh-Ann, this is not on. This is not on.
Would you?
I would.
I'm not. You would.
I certainly would. Let me just filter myself a bit, because we're going into, uncharted territory now. I have to filter myself quite a bit. I mean, you have it on you, You have it on you, so might as well just wear it as well.
It's probably something I don't want it on me in the first place. I don't know. Maybe I'm like old school. But it's not something that I'd really want to be carrying around. The thing is that this goes even further, I need to tell you.
Oh,
okay. So this person also makes jewelry for babies and women, and that contains the mother's breast milk that's been dried into powder.
Yeah, and that's weird as shit.
Crossing a
that is weird. What I want my mom's
so
breast milk. Yeah, this weird as shit. Let's see what the comments are saying. Back to Dr. Hanan. Simon says, Doc, Mash should have moved in with the guy 2 weeks. Oh, Mash should have moved in with the guy. 2 weeks in, he was already on the policies. Okay, Tabo says this poor human being just bought you an inverter. I'll dump your ass. Okay, interesting. And then let's see. What are other people saying here? Parallel Parking says you're both doing Gareth proud. Thank you, Parallel Parking. And then Arbot, back to the topic that we just talked about. Pearl necklace, anyone? Still better than vabbing? I think it's still better than vabbing.
Oh, yes.
I think it still is. Yeah. Vabbing
I would put them on a par, actually, for me. It's the same. It's the same thing, really.
I wouldn't say it's the same thing. Necklace... You can't smell one.
I know.
You can't smell the necklace, I hope. Well, if your partner is healthy and drinks enough water, you can't smell it. But otherwise, it's a nice little thing to try out. And speaking of trying things, you check your cupboards. This cookware could be worth $25,000. What cookware is this? Is this our friend Carol? Is it our friend Carol?
No, not Carol Boys. This is something called Corningware. Now, I grew up with this all around me in my home, and you can put up these pictures. They're these kind of classic looking casserole dishes, right? And I remember in my house, for sure, we had these, and they had kind of a blue flower pattern on them. That was quite popular. And these ones we're showing you now have these, fruit and veg and other sort of little paintings on the Corningware. And we know that things really big and, recycling or upcycling older items in the kitchen. But it turns out that these Corningware pieces are, some of them, specific ones obviously, are truly valuable. So if you've inherited like a whole batch of cooking stuff from your grandmother's house, it's a good idea to go through it. For instance, there's a picture there of a piece that was put up in Australia, and this gives you an idea of the amount of money that people are getting for these things. This put up for 35,000 Australian dollars. That's what these things are being valued at. This one in particular has some pictures of lilacs, I think they are, on them.
So who decides the worth?
Antiques Roadshow. Who knows?
Because I'm looking at these and I'm like, first of all, they're not ugly. They are kind of cute. They're like this white ceramic, and then the lids are all glass, see-through glass. They're very cute, but they're like
quite retro.
I wouldn't say it's worth that much. I mean, what the hell is that damn casserole carrying? So I'm not too sure.
What's happening, particularly on a technical level, this stuff is called Corningware, and their parent company, Instant Brands, has apparently collapsed. So these items from the 70s and 80s have caused the value of these vintage Corningware items to reach massive highs, because obviously they're not going to be produced anymore. So some of these as priced as high as 35,000, as we've seen. In fact, there was one seller who said she made an absolute small fortune by selling her mum's vintage Corningware pieces. Very popular back in the day. She sold off a few pieces with her mum's blessing, and she's made 9,000 Australian dollars so far. So you can see for yourself on eBay and Etsy, have a look, because you might find pieces that you recognize. Sometimes these sets are going even upwards of $30,000. So I know that I've got these kind of wildflower pictured ones, so I'm definitely going to do my research.
Slippery Pickle says, maybe they're hiding drugs inside the casserole. And then Carl DeSanto says, you cannot trust the purchasing decisions of Australians. They're always drunk, which is true. I give you credit for that, Carl DeSantos. Yeah, I'm very much on edge about this. I'm not going to lie to you, Leigh-Ann. Very, very, very much on edge. But I do also want to share some fun facts for everyone. Actually, less fun facts, more outrageous stuff. Some of the most outrageous sex tips from Cosmo magazine. I know that I'd say, Leigh-Ann, you guys grew up reading Cosmo magazine. I'm sure you didn't miss a single issue.
Absolutely. And it was always about sex. I don't know how they made it new, but every issue was about the most phenomenal sex tips. That's what they would claim. Ooh. So yeah, I'd be interested to see what this is.
So I didn't grow up in the age of Cosmo. When I was growing up, we were reading more like Drum magazine, and I was really just buying the magazine for the lyrics and the centerfold poster of the celebrity. So apart from that, I don't really give a crap about the magazine. But we have some sex tips from Cosmo, some of the most ridiculous sex tips that Cosmo magazine has ever given. And I'm going to be reading you a couple of these. They are quite outrageous, but I think try them. Maybe they work. I'm not too sure. The first one, hold his penis. I'm also going to read this in a very sexy voice.
Oh gosh. Oh boy, I'm not prepared for this.
Hold his penis in one hand and lightly slap it with the other. You can tap it back and forth if you're volleying, as if you're volleying a tennis ball, and lightly pinch the skin on his shaft and testicles. Many women make the mistake of being too gentle. The next one is,
gosh.
think of his shaft like the curve of your breast. Take his shaft between your open palms and tap it back and forth, almost like you're volleying a tennis ball. The quick movements are a fun way to wake up his nerves. Basically, like as if you're volleying a tennis ball back and forth between your palms. So
these things are oddly, these tips, pardon the pun, are oddly specific.
They're very specific.
They're like uncomfortably specific, I should say.
I think they took Dr. Hanan's advice when he said you must be specific. They're on the ball.
Oh Lordy. Are there ones without penises? Can I ask?
Yes, there's a couple. So let me read you one. It says, this is more like a fun fact. 34% of guys say they wish a girl would surprise them with oral as soon as they walk in the door.
Oh, wow.
That sounds more like sexual harassment.
Just be there.
But
you see, that's also kind of harping back to 50s housewife, that you need to have the dinner on the go and have your makeup on and the kids with bows in their heads, literally in their hair.
Yes. So these tips are for the housewives in the 80s who are just sitting at home. You know, they're like, there's no internet. There's no way to know what's what and where's what. So you might as well just, read these tips for men written by women. I have a couple more for you. So actually, let me read you this one. This one is a bit ridiculous. Chew a small piece of mango, then take him in your mouth. You can use whatever fruit you have. Just don't try anything too acidic, as it can burn him. And I don't know what that's supposed to do. I truly and honestly do not know. But I suppose because, fruits, actually putting anything sweet in your mouth would induce saliva production. So I suppose that's what that is for. And then I'm going to read you one last one. Alternate between swiveling both wrists in opposite directions and stroking your hands upward, twisting your wrists when you reach his head as though you're turning a doorknob. Rub your thumb in a tiny figure 8 pattern over his frenulum, or try the windshield wiper move. Glide your thumb from side to side along the rim where his head begins. Then move your thumb up and over the top of the head several times. First of all, I don't even get what the hell.
I'd need a nap after trying to remember all those instructions.
What is a frenulum to begin with? What is a frenulum?
Frenulum.
What is that?
It's, I really don't want to get graphic. Just Google it.
Okay, I'll just Google it because it seems like I don't know my own
Not
body.
safe for
Leigh-Ann.
work.
I do not even know my own body.
I
so I'm
know.
not too sure.
You should definitely know this stuff. You should definitely know this stuff.
Oh my
I
goodness,
don't
this
know.
is
I
absolutely
think
shocking.
I feel sorry for people to whom this type of stuff doesn't really come naturally.
Yeah.
Because to try and remember all these tips and do all of this research, it's a lot of work.
It's overwhelming. It's very overwhelming. If it doesn't come naturally, then just don't. That's my advice for you. Just don't. Just leave it. Leave it behind in the past. Hi. And then, Leigh-Ann, you drink coffee still, right?
I
That is
actually
coffee in your
don't.
cup.
Okay.
You don't?
No.
I'm very shocked by
tea.
that.
I don't drink coffee at all. I tend to have a terrible reaction to it. I get migraines and general nausea. Just doesn't agree with me at all. So to come across this article was, you see, I've never really understood, because I don't drink coffee, the whole coffee culture, where people have to go to specific cafes to get their coffee and all the rest. So I kind of feel a little bit of joy when I see that coffee's bad for you. I don't know. I don't know why. I must be a horrible person.
But then what does the article say that you've come across?
So, we come across a lot of coffee articles saying how a certain amount for you is good. There are very few articles that say too much is too bad. But this one, the latest from scientists, is saying that coffee is connected to Parkinson's, cancer, and heart disease. To put your mind at rest a little bit, though, is that it's specifically in a certain ingredient which is used to decaffeinate coffee. So me not being an expert, I don't know if it's just decaf coffee alone or if it still affects the others. The ingredient is TCE, trichloroethylene. And when you hear what the other uses of TCE is, it kind of makes sense that it's a little bit dangerous. So besides decaffeinating coffee, it's used to degrease metal, to dry clean clothes. But apparently it's present in up to like 1/3 of groundwater in the US alone. But yes, it's a pervasive contaminant. It's present in several military sites and Marine Corps bases, and also Superfund sites in Silicon Valley. It's known to cause cancer linked to miscarriages and congenital heart disease, and has been associated with a 500% increased risk of Parkinson's disease.
Oh my gosh. And this is in decaf coffee in particular.
Again, I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to say that, but it's used in decaffeinating coffee. Also used for removing paint, cleaning engines, and anesthetizing patients.
Jeez, Leigh-Ann. And we are putting this in our bodies. We are putting all of this crap in our bodies.
Well, the thing is, I know once you are a coffee lover, that very little is going to dissuade you from drinking it, right?
Yeah.
So do you really care? Is it going to change the way you drink coffee?
I certainly do care. And I've actually stopped drinking coffee for quite a minute now. I've just been having hot chocolate. I think it's because of the season. But in summer, I drink tea. In winter, I normally drink coffee, but I've replaced coffee with hot chocolate. Please don't tell me this stuff isn't hot chocolate as well. I would just about scream.
It's the sugar. It's just the sugar. Don't worry.
I'd rather deal with sugar.
Than paint solvent.
Exactly. I'd rather deal with sugar than drink the same stuff that I used to clean my damn oven. I'd much rather deal with that. Oh, geez. There's no escaping these things, Leigh-Ann. We live in a world where almost everything that we ingest, whether it's KFC, whether it's this, whether it's the food you're buying at the shops, whether it's something in a bottle or even in a can, there's always something. We can't get away from these ingredients and all these chemicals that are being placed in all of these things. We just have to, at some point, just come to terms with it and just, accept that, look, I know I'm going to die at 75 instead of 105. It's fine. But I'd rather have a nice ride, That's what matters. I'd rather have a good time. Not here for a long time, Leigh-Ann. Might as well. Might as well.
Exactly. So that's what I mean by do we care? I mean, are we willing to really go the extra mile in analyzing absolutely everything we put into our bodies, or are we going to accept that the very air that we breathe has issues? So, and then the genetics and all of that. I don't know. Just enjoy your life, really.
Look, you can never win. We can never win. I see here Slippery Pickles says hot chocolate. That's even worse. And we can never win, we can never win. So the best thing for us to do is just to accept and just keep it moving more than anything. There's no other way. Absolutely no other way.
I mean, I'm like a green tea drinker, right? And I noticed that my little teapot that I put my green tea into to brew has these stains on the glass that I have to use an abrasive to scour them. So then my question is, what is that doing to my insides? What is that doing to my teeth? And then you think, just, you know what? There's a lot more going on in life and a lot more important stuff, really.
Way more, I promise you. And that's the thing, is that you can never win more than anything. I mean, my fridge right now, I have always heard horrible things about sparkling water until I actually watched I think it was a YouTube video where they were like, actually, sparkling water is great for you. Your body needs CO2 in order to absorb oxygen. The more CO2 is in your body, the more oxygen your body absorbs. So sparkling water is actually better for you than still water. And I'm like, I've heard so many conflicting theories about this. People are like, no, sparkling water is not good. It's not good. It's CO2. Now, all of a sudden, it's the greatest thing on earth. And they even give examples in this video and said that the reason why it's so great to have more CO2 in your body is because obviously your body absorbs more oxygen. But they gave an example and they said that's why if you feel like throwing up or something on a plane, they give you a paper bag and then you just breathe over and over again in that paper bag. That's because you're breathing the CO2 back in your body, which in turns increases your CO2 levels and thus increases your body's rate of absorbing oxygen. So there's so many things that we're learning on a day-to-day basis, and all these things are conflicting. Today we're learning coffee's bad. Tomorrow someone else is saying coffee's good. And we're all in our own little eco bubbles. And our eco bubbles basically feed us the information we want to hear. Someone else will come along and be like, no, coffee's actually great. I saw on TikTok. While someone else comes along and says, coffee's terrible. I saw on TikTok. And it's like, we're just all clashing all the time. Can't we just meet each other halfway? Just give us the coffee and then we can put our own oven cleaner in it.
Oh, jeez, don't do that. Oh, Lord.
Let's do that rather, because there's so much conflicting information. So it is absolutely ridiculous. And now it's actually time to chat with our guests. We have Ingrid, Hauger, and Shaun Joynt from Parkrun. And as you know, Parkrun is the gateway for a lot of runners to start off with a manageable walk or run of about 5 kilometers and move on to bigger and greater things and improve their mental and physical health as a consequence. Next month, on the 1st of July, one of the first Parkruns in South Africa and the biggest in the world in terms of registrations, the Botanical Gardens Parkrun in Pretoria will be holding their 300th event. That is 300 Saturdays where 54,000 people completed over 240,000 parkruns at the Botanical Gardens. That is amazing. How are you?
Hi, guys. Nice to be here.
Good morning.
How are you, Ingrid? Shaun? Nice to have you.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting to be here.
So you guys are actually park runners. You don't just organize. No. You actually run yourselves.
No, we do actually run. So I've actually been a park runner for 9 years now, but I started park running as a volunteer about 5 years ago, and that swiftly went downhill into basically being one of the ambassadors of Parkrun. So I've been fully involved for quite a while. It's a fantastic initiative. Like I said, I'm an ambassador. I'm the ambassador for Pretoria East, one of many in the country. We're about 60 odd ambassadors. And we're there to make sure that everyone knows about it, that everything goes smoothly, that everything's great. So we love Parkrun. As you said, it's a free event. It is not just about 5Ks. It is 5Ks. And I heard earlier you've done a few yourself, Mesh.
Yes, I have. I have done 2 park runs in the past, and I never went back because it's a little bit too much for me personally. But maybe you guys might tell me. You might just bring me.
You're traumatized.
I'm traumatized. I was like, I don't know, people.
No, but listen, Nash, I mean, the one thing that's really awesome about Parkrun is that you're always welcome. So South Africa's actually got the average of the slowest parkrun in the world. So we're around about 41 minutes. The fastest parkrun in the world is 15 minutes. So that just gives you an indication how many people are actually walking the parkrun. It really becomes a social thing because everyone just loves going out there and walking it and being social. And when you volunteer, you become part of the community as well. But the parkrun community as its own is just one of the best communities to be with. And yes, it's 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, every Saturday at 199 events in South Africa, and then at almost over 2,000 events in the world. So you're probably going to get to about 20 odd countries in the world, and you'll find a community and to go and do a parkrun at, and you're welcome just like this. So it is a fantastic community to be part of.
Is it free to join?
Always. Very free. You go to parkrun.co.za, you register one time, you get a barcode. That barcode you can keep as a physical printed out barcode. You can have it as a barcode, as a band on your arm, which is great because you've got your your in case of emergency details as well, and you can put it on your watch. So free first one-time barcode, and then you're free to join at any one of the, like I said, over 2,000 parkruns in the entire world, which is quite a bit.
You mentioned that it's also sort of like a community. Is there like a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group or maybe an Instagram page, anything like that where people can actually socialize and actually chat?
Listen, let's not even go there. The amount of parkrunners are crazy. And I say that with absolute love because I'm one myself. Because only a crazy person would wake up earlier on a Saturday morning to go and make sure that the parkrun is open. But there's Facebook, there's the Parkrun website. Every parkrun in the world has its own Facebook page. So, for example, I'm the event director at Hazeldene Farm in Pretoria East. Shaun is at Botanical Gardens. So I have the Hazeldene Farm Parkrun page. We've also got an Instagram page where we post photos and videos and stuff from that parkrun that week. And the same happens to a lot of the parkruns throughout the world and South Africa. So, and then there's lots of very, very excited and dedicated parkrun enthusiasts. There's Passionate About Parkrun, which is a Facebook page. There's Parkrun South Africa, Parkrun People. You'll find a lot of pages where you can interact. And a person that then visits all of the parkruns through the world becomes a tourist. So if you go to many of them over some time, you're going to become a tourist. So Shaun and myself do it a bit more extreme. We actually go overseas. I went over to Germany last year to run the Berlin Marathon. And when I was there, I ran 2 German parkruns, which is absolutely brilliant. And then there's others here in South Africa. We've got a gentleman, his name is, I stand on correction, McKeezy is his surname. And he's just finished 250 parkruns where he has not gone to more than one of them at a time. So he's seen every single one of them, and that's just in South Africa, where he's visited 250 parkruns. So he is known as the McKeezy informally. He doesn't want it known as that. But those are your extreme people. And then people like myself and Shaun, I've volunteered over 155 times now, and I've run 147 parkruns. But I just love the community. So Parkrun as its own is just an incredible place. And like I said, go into any place in the world, you're part of a community, which is fantastic.
So Nash, maybe just if I can interject here a moment, give you an idea. I had some work I had to do in the last 8 weeks. I was in Boston for a week, in Dallas for 2 weeks, and I was back in South Africa. Then I was in Singapore for half a week and Korea for a week. And so what I do when I go over for work or for visiting family is I normally scout and see where there's a park run near me. So what was very interesting to find out is in the States, there's only 54 park run events compared to 199 in South Africa. And I couldn't find anyone in Richardson where my sister lives, but I scoured and I found there was one in Dallas-Fort Worth, Greenbelt Park Run. And it was about 45, 50 minutes drive away. And my sister doesn't do park runs, but because she's my family and she loves me, she agreed to go. And we went through 45 minutes drive, did the park run. It was amazing. And then when I was in Singapore about 2 weeks ago, I found out there's 3 park runs along the coast there, and I did that one. So when Ingrid says you're a park run tourist, it's really about just saying where I find myself, is there a park run nearby that I can participate on a Saturday? And the thing with park runs is initially you struggle to get out of bed, especially in winter. But I remind myself, I say, just put on my shoes, arrive and start walking or running. Because about after 15 minutes, those feel-good hormones start kicking in, the endorphins, the dopamine. And then after the run, you feel like, wow, my body's energized. And 8 o'clock in the morning sounds early, but by 9 you're done and you got the rest of the day ahead of you. So I started only 6 years ago with Parkrun. I mean, the last time I ran was when I was in high school. So it was many years ago. And I joined up in the Parkrun. And what I did was the first years I walked and walked. And then I started getting fitter and I walked a bit faster. Then I started jogging for, 500 meters and then walking. And after about 9 months, I was able to slowly jog a 5K park run. So it's just little by little, eating that elephant, making sure it's your own elephant, but eating it one bite at a time.
Wow.
What's really amazing, what I picked up from you, Shaun, it's probably when you're traveling, well, firstly, if ever you do live overseas, there's obviously a huge opportunity gap for you there to set up more park runs. But I mean, it just sounds like the best way to get advice on, as a tourist, for instance, on the best places to go. Strike up a conversation with the person next to you and say, where should I go for dinner tonight? I mean, you're not going to get that information from anywhere unless you're sitting on a computer on Reddit or travel websites. Information from real people who live in the city, know it and love it. So that's really exciting.
That's very true. So it's a good point that you're making there, Leigh-Ann, because every week at Parkrun, we get so many people from other countries coming through to our parkruns. For example, this weekend, we had a family of Americans who were like, we love the concept. I'm like, great, do you have Parkrun in your area? They're like, no, we're in North Carolina. Our closest one is in South Carolina. But we might think about seeing if we can bring it through to our neighborhood. And there's a lot of people. So if you look at it, at the stats, so Parkrun was started in the UK by a South African, Paul Sinton Hewitt, who is the uber god of Parkrun. We love the man to absolute death. He brought an institution to the world 18 years ago. And actually, he got a CBE, as far as if I remember correctly, for his the what he's brought to the community. And then also, because he's South African, he then got hold of Bruce, because South Africa was the 4th parkrun to start in the world. There are 20 regions currently where parkrun is shown, and South Africa is the 3rd biggest in the world. And to put into perspective how big parkrun is in South Africa alone, the top 10 most big events that have happened in the world, the biggest one is at Bushy Park, where Parkrun was originally started. They had about 2,500, and 8 of the other 10 are in South Africa. One of them being at Botanical Gardens. Botanical Gardens is the 4th biggest parkrun that, I lie, I think it might actually be the 3rd biggest parkrun that occurred in the world, of 2,400 people. I was there that day. It was insane, but it's so much fun. It is an insane environment to be part of. So Mash, I would say you need to come and join us for the 300th the Botanical Gardens.
Oh yes, come on, Mash.
I'm gonna come join.
Yes, do it.
It is so much fun. I'm not gonna lie. And my biggest thing was that I joined once. I actually went twice as I mentioned. And the reason why I didn't go back is because I got busy, running around and all of that. And then I kind of felt bad. I was like, but what are they going to say when I come back after like 2 months? Are they going to be like, look at that flaker? That was my biggest concern more than anything. But I've also now realized that the Parkrun community is just so accepting and loving. And it's like a family more than anything.
Very much so. So the nice thing about it, like I said, you don't have to be the fastest runner in the world. You can be a slow walker. You can be go there with your family. And yes, if you do want to run fast, then you can go out and push it. And there are some fast people out there. So I'd say come through to the 300th. But Shaun's going to tell us a bit more about the 300th in Botanical Gardens.
Yeah. So, Mash, maybe just to encourage you, every parkrun has something or someone called a tail walker. And this person is at the back. And all you have to do is make sure you walk a little bit faster than him or her. And then you will complete the parkrun. And they are not Olympic walkers. So you are very safe.
Amazing. What if I am the tail walker?
Well, there you are. Actually, you could volunteer to be a parkrun tail walker, and then you'll be volunteering and you'll be doing your parkrun walk. And so there's some roles in parkrun where you can run and volunteer, and then others where you can't run. So we take turns on that. But I'm, for example, a token sorter. So I do my run. Yeah. I'm not a fast runner. I'm a jogger. I'm a social jogger. And then at the end, I just help getting all the tokens into place. And as Ingrid said, Parkrun Botanical Gardens, as far as I know, has the highest registrations in the world. We might not have had the highest event, but I think we're between, I stand corrected, either 20,000 or 40,000 registrations. So it's just as well everyone doesn't come on the Saturday, but we get through it. And this 300th Parkrun means we've been running for 6 years at Botanical Gardens. And what a venue. We get to run through our national heritage, the various trees, the plants. They actually allow us to come in for free. There's normally an entrance to the Botanical Gardens, but they allow us to come in for free. And on the 1st of July, we're having our 300th run birthday. And I mean, what better than we have a birthday to invite family and friends to celebrate it with you, to have something to eat, to dress up. We're encouraging people on that Saturday to dress up as brightly as possible, bright colors, tutus, headbands, everything you can think of, different colored socks. But we're just saying, folk, invite your friends. Let's celebrate this party together on the 1st of July at the Botanical Gardens. We're also going to have some vendors. There'll be stalls. After the run in the Botanical Gardens, there's a cafe called the Milk Plum Cafe. Folk go there, afterwards to go get milkshakes or breakfast or something like that. So really, we're excited about the 1st of July celebrating our 300th parkrun at Botanical Gardens. And you're invited to see you there.
I'll definitely be there. We have a couple of questions and some gratitude. Slippery Pickle says here, I'd like to express my gratitude for you guys for helping keep the cyclists off the roads. So thank you. Dankeschön. And then we have a couple of questions as well from the audience. Peter Koning says, do you have a park running spectators community?
Surprisingly enough, yes. So obviously not everyone wants to go and do the run or the walk. Sometimes you're injured. Sometimes you just want to sit back and just watch these people and applaud them. So you can either sit there and applaud them, or you can become a marshal and volunteer. But we always encourage people to become a volunteer. So I'm moving around quite a bit because all of a sudden this winter sun has decided to come directly into my eyes. I'm like squinting quite nicely here. So you can come and just watch the parkrun. Obviously, this isn't going to be the Olympic Games, and you're not going to necessarily see Eliud Kipchoge coming past at a speed of 2 minutes 30. But our record in South Africa was set by our comrade star, Jenna Kellerland, who did it about 2 years ago in 14 minutes. So you do find people that do that as well.
Oh, wow. No, this should be something
Sorry.
This should be something that like the Department of Sports should be actually pushing in our country, because it's fun, it is light, it is social, it's light. It's not even, I wouldn't say heavy exercise, but it's exercise nonetheless. It beats just lazing around on a Saturday morning and waking up at 12.
So actually, you say that, and there is actually a couple of the ministers that do enjoy parkrun, and they're actually active in the background. And I'm not going to mention names there because I probably give the wrong person credit here. But there are ministers out there that are helping us, and the community members, the councillors and everything. They go out there and they engage with the communities. So it is being helped out in the parkrun community itself. So remember there's about I think there's just under 1 million people in South Africa that are registered as parkrunners, and there's quite a few of them there's about 50 to 60,000 people that run it every week. But surprisingly enough, you've got cops that do it, you've got nurses, doctors, community members, ministers also come out in undercover, obviously, but they come out there and they're also doing the parkrun with everyone.
Beautiful. We have a couple of we have a few more questions from the audience. Slippery Pickle says here, are the park runners larger in Texas?
Actually, surprisingly not. The park runners are not. No, the park runners are not large in Texas, although everything is large in Texas. The park runners aren't. What was so interesting is I was there from South Africa, and then there was another chap, trying to think, his name was Ryan, if I recall, and he was from Ireland, and he was doing his 250th parkrun there at DFW. So it was quite amazing. But no, the park runners are not larger.
Oh wow! Well, Ryan, the producer, I guess your secret is out now, because our producer Ryan he also has some Irish heritage. So I suppose.
So Ryan, we're looking forward to seeing you on the 1st of July as well.
Yes, he's going to be joining us. A couple more questions from the audience. A few more questions from the audience. Litlotlo says, do volunteers get vitality points if they don't run but just help?
No, unfortunately not. You do have to run to get your points. Of course, Vitality works on a 30-minute workout. Of course, those who are in Vitality know that if it's at 80% heart rate, you get 300 points. If it's 70% heart rate, 200. If it's 60 and less, then it's 100. So it's you do have to run, which is why, for example, I am a Vitality member. I do my run, and then I do the finish token. I'm also the announcer. So when you get there on the 1st of July, you're going to get to see me. I'm going to say hi to everyone. I'm going to welcome the first timers. I'm going to welcome the out of towners. I'm going to encourage those who run fast to come to the front, those who jog to stay in the middle, at the start line, those who walk to go to the back, just to make it easy for the start off. I normally joke that if you do the park run in more than 2 hours, you might as well just turn around and start walking to your car, because that's going to save you the time. But most people complete the park run within 1 hour.
So the one thing that is, it has been a point that has been raised many times regarding Discovery and the Vitality points. I just want to point out, so Discovery is our main sponsor in South Africa, and then Brooks is one of the international sponsors of Vitality. So obviously, if you're a Discovery member, you do get your Vitality points if you run it. And there has been a huge discussion for many years with regards to the mental health benefits of being active and being part of a community, not just parkrun per se, but also running community in general, because it has a huge mental health benefit to you. And I'm sure that Dr. Hanan would agree with me on that one, because being active, being part of your community is so important for your mental health. And so it has been raised with Discovery many times with regards to it, and it hasn't been discounted. It just takes a bit of time to get, like all things in bureaucracy, it just takes a little bit of time. But there's so many positions that if you were to volunteer, you can volunteer and run. So for example, because I don't actually run. I really run the park run itself. I run beforehand. And because I'm as slow as a snail at the moment, I used to be a lot faster, but I'm not. I do get my 300 vitality points. So yes, no, it doesn't get it at the moment, but you know what? It's the benefits and everything are just so worth it. They really are.
And also, when you get to do your 5K walk or run, Mash, I think it can absorb that detergent in the coffee. You know, all the bad things. Your body can cope with expelling that a lot quicker.
And the beer.
Yeah.
Many of the parkruns, I just want to point out.
I see Antoinette also in the comments. Before you come to KB, says that the 300th parkrun is going to be epic at the Botanical Gardens.
Yes.
Luckily, it is now a one-lapper and only running the hill once. Thank you.
Oh, listen, that hill was terrible. We had a 2-lapper, so 2.5 Ks. And this hill is like at this angle. And when you get it to the first time, you think, okay, I've got mental capacity to handle this. But when you get to the second time, you think, oh, Lord, please help me. So I want to say it's so better just having one lap, doing that hill once.
That's the other thing that's amazing about Parkrun is that every single parkrun that you go to is completely different. So Botanical Gardens is full on stones, on the pathways, gorgeous. You're running through the Botanical Gardens and you get to do it for free. So a big thank you to Botanical Gardens for allowing us to run there. And then you've got other places like Delta, for example, is there in Delta Park. That was South Africa's first parkrun. That's a beautiful open park that you can run in. Hazeldean is on a farm. You're running with cows. So, and you're able to bring your dogs with. Not your cats. I'm sorry, Leigh-Ann. The dogs might go a little bit crazy. That's just that you can bring through the dogs through to there. And there's some beautiful puppies that come and run there.
Yeah.
And then there's gorgeous places like Dullstroom where you run around at this gorgeous dam. Clarence, where you're running up into the hills, 1,000 hills in the Durban area, which is actually not 1,000 hills, but it's close to it. But it's just every single one is absolutely beautiful throughout the world and here in South Africa. So I can understand why people want to go to all of these different places. And then bringing it back to our 300th event at Botanical Gardens, it's just we're so looking forward to bringing the community and saying a big thank you to not just the volunteers who have brought the event out into to the Pretoria market and to the South African market as a whole, but just saying thank you to Parkrun and the Parkrun community of runners. Without the park runners, this wouldn't be possible. So we're just so grateful for having such an amazing community and being able to just literally join at any parkrun and having a friend. You literally just become part of the family. If you come once, if you come twice, if you come 500 times, which some park runners have already done. So it is a community that is just, it's very similar to the Cliff Central community, except we're a little bit more PG.
Yeah, there's that.
Yes, that.
So thank you so much, Ingrid and Shaun. It has been so much fun talking about Parkrun this morning. Where can people get a hold of you guys, and where can people sign up to join the event that will be happening on the 1st of July?
So your main thing, the first thing would be going to this parkrun.co.za. There's a registration link there if you haven't registered for Parkrun before. Then you can go and get your barcode, print that out, put it on your phone, keep a copy there, even put it on your watch. I've got it on my watch, which is fantastic. Then that barcode is free forever. So you'll never have to pay for this. Always go through to, you'll always be able to run with that barcode. And then pitch up on Saturday morning. It will start at 8 o'clock. I would suggest getting there a little earlier. We do have major crowds at Botanical Gardens, anything between 700 to 1,000 people at a time. I don't think we'll get to 2,500 this time because it is a little chilly in the morning, just a little. But we'll definitely have a lacquer vibe, lacquer party. There's going to be stands so that you can go and grab some goodies afterwards. There's coffee. There is going to be beer for those that want to drink beer afterwards as well, because Parkrun's also a lot of fun with that. And it's just going to be an awesome vibe. And if you don't make it to Botanical Gardens on the 1st of July, you can come through to any one of the other parkruns. And then you never know, even if you just do one a month, you'll have that fit body in summer, Mash, if you join a few more parkruns.
Absolutely. Leigh-Ann, we are going, are we not?
Listen, yes, I might have to. I'd have to wait for the next anniversary and do every park run from now until then to have any semblance of a flat tummy. Thank you.
No, we don't worry about the flat stuff. We do not worry about the flat stomach.
This is a bikini body, as it is.
Thank you.
My claim to fame, Leigh-Ann, is that I've got a six-pack under this barrel. Really.
Look at you, Shaun. You're flexing on us.
If you was looking for more information, updated information after you registered, also the Botanical Garden Facebook page. If there's any notices of what's happening on any Saturday, because usually we don't cancel a parkrun, but let's say there's a lightning challenge, then we will cancel it. Not for rain. We run in the rain. But for lightning, we would cancel something like that. But any further information on the 300th, please go to our Facebook page and ask any question there. The information will be there and someone will get back to you.
Yes. And then join any of the other Parkrun pages. Go to Parkrun on South Africa on Facebook. And then go and download the 5K app, which is an awesome app that you can use to find your closest parkrun because it looks at your location. So you can find your closest parkrun using that. It's an official parkrun app, but it has quite a bit of information on it. And that's the 5K app on Samsung and on iOS.
Oh, amazing. I'm going to be getting that app shortly. I see Antoinette here. Antoinette Kant says in the comments, does volunteering count as experience that can be mentioned on your CV?
Yes, I do. Hi. Mine says it.
It depends what you're using your CV for. But yes, definitely.
Listen, the things that you learn as a volunteer. So, I mean, for me, for example, I don't look it, but I was extremely shy, and then I had to go and stand on a rock, and now I can easily speak to 1,000 people. So you learn a lot of skills as a volunteer, and actually just as a parkrunner. You don't even have to volunteer. You learn life skills at Parkrun itself, even if it's just learning how to not give up. And that is such a big thing, is just pushing through, whether you do it in an hour and 30 minutes, if you do it in 20, if you do it in 30, does not matter, because you learn that perseverance. And Parkrun is really a gateway. It is a gateway to a better life, mentally, physically, and it's also a gateway to a better and closer-knit community. And I think South Africa and the world needs that more than anything else at the moment.
100%. No, thank you so much, Ingrid and Shaun. We've had so much fun chatting about Parkrun this morning. And I even thought I'd have fun chatting about Parkrun. But there we go, Leigh-Ann. There we go.
Thanks so much for having us. And we hope we'll see you at a Parkrun soon.
You definitely will.
Good.
Me and Leigh-Ann.
Good luck, guys. Awesome.
Thank you very
much.
Good luck. Awesome day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that was fun. I'm now going to be a parkrunner. There you go. There you go.
See, you can go back. It's like having those friends that you only speak to maybe once a year, but it feels like you just left off from, start from where you left off again. So they won't judge you.
Yeah.
I say you go
100%.
back.
One thing I always challenge myself to do is every single year I have one thing that I actually really thrive in. Last year it was spinning. I really got into spinning for quite some time at the gym. 2 years ago it was step at the gym. So I think this year it's going to be parkrun. And I think the reason why I stopped, last year's thing spinning, I stopped it because exactly the reason why I tried parkrun, then stopped. I stopped going to spinning, and then I kind of felt like, oh, they're going to judge me when I come back because it's been like 2 months. I'm going to be like, oh, who does he think coming back now? And one thing I always forget is nobody gives a crap.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody cares if you're there or not. They're just like, look, as long as he's alive and healthy, that's all that matters. So I guess we're going to be pushing that healthy lifestyle this year. All righty. There we have it, Leigh-Ann. Just a quick reminder that Gareth is out of town. We do not know where he is. So please keep those guesses coming in the YouTube comments and tell us, where do you think Gareth is Gareth. Hashtag where is Gareth? Let's get that trending. Let's get that popping up in the socials and the interweb. And yeah, let's keep the conversation going. Thank you so very much for joining me this morning, Leigh-Ann. I think we've covered quite a lot. I mean, we went from coffee to 6 tips to Parkrun to cheese to what do you call those things? Those plates? Relationships, my relationship. Corningware. I'm going to be checking that out after the show. I want to see how much it costs here in South Africa. If I can get it for cheap, I'm buying it. And I'll also end up on that Antiques Roadshow. That's one thing for sure.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Leigh-Ann. And have yourself a good morning. We'll catch you tomorrow.